Let's begin by understanding what we are studying. What is biotechnology? To understand the term, let's break it into the two words that it is made of, bio and technology. Bio, is a term that means life. Technology, on the other hand, means the methods, techniques, or the process that you use to make a product or to accomplish a task. So, whenever we use living organisms to do something or to make a product that is useful to us, we are practicing biotechnology. Even when we are using something that has been obtained from a living organism, milk, saliva, or some enzymes, hormones, metabolites, and we use it to make something else, or we use it for some process that we want to do, we are practicing biotechnology. Now, if we go by the understanding of biotechnology in the broadest possible sense, any product obtained with the help of living organisms can be considered as biotechnology. But most of these processes we have been doing for tens of thousands of years. When we first domesticated animals, or when we first selected and sowed seeds to get crops of our choice. So modern technology is used in a slightly restricted sense. For these processes, sowing of crops, making wine, we do not use the term biotechnology. We only include microbe-related products in biotechnology. What are microbe-related products? Where the microbes have been modified genetically, that is, their genes have been altered to obtain large quantities of desirable products. These processes are very useful in the field of agriculture, food, other industries also, medicines, etc. Now, this should give you an idea about where all biotechnology is practiced and for what purpose. Now, let's define biotechnology. The European Federation of Biotechnology, EFB, has given a definition of biotechnology which covers both traditional view and modern view. So, the biotechnology has been defined by EFB as the integration of natural science and organisms, cells, parts thereof, and molecular analogues for products and services. So, you are using all these four categories: natural science and organisms, their cells, the parts of the cells, and their molecular analogues for products and services. As we just saw, modern biotechnology involves modifying genes of organisms and obtaining molecular products at large scale. These two have been made possible because of two principles without which biotechnology would not have been feasible: genetic engineering and bioprocess engineering. Genetic engineering means methods used to alter or change the gene. Why do we need to change the gene? To make it behave differently, to change the protein that it is making, or to change the amount of the protein that it is making. So if we want a different kind of protein, or if we want a larger amount of protein, we need to alter the genes. Now these altered genes can then be transferred to a host organism so that the host organism can make our altered protein or desired protein. Such organisms with modified genes or altered genes or foreign genes foreign because it has a gene which was not naturally its own. It has not been a part of its genetic system. So such foreign genes are introduced into a host organism. This host organism will then be known as genetically modified organism. Now, in order to make genetic engineering possible, it is very important that highly sterile conditions are maintained so that there are no contaminations. Any bacterial or fungal contaminations will affect the purity of the products that you are trying to make. An impure enzyme or impure antibiotic or a contaminated vaccine will cause more harm than it will be beneficial to us. So genetic engineering is not feasible without maintenance of completely sterile conditions. No organism other than the one we are growing should be able to grow, and this is known as bioprocess engineering. Engineering means designing or building. So genetic engineering is designing new genes and creating products which were earlier not made by an organism. For example, an antibiotic is needed by us humans. The genes for that antibiotic can be introduced in a bacteria which otherwise does not have that genes. This foreign gene is then expressed in this new host, that is the bacteria. The bacterial cell will begin to synthesize this antibiotic. Then we harvest the antibiotic from the bacterial cells. Now this entire process requires multiple new techniques. First, you need to identify the gene. Which gene will give the product that you desired? In this case, the antibiotic. Next, you make copies of these genes. So you need a technique to make copies of these genes. Then you modify the gene. Then you need a vector. The vector is a carrier which will carry this gene and deliver it inside the new host cell. So you just don't need a good vector, you need a glue to piece together the new gene into the vector's own genes. Then you have to transport the vector to the new host cell, that is the bacterial cell in this case. But there is a trick, there is a catch in this. You have to remember that all these processes are occurring at molecular level. DNA sequences are just molecules, which means we should be able to engineer them without seeing them. Make cuts at exact location without seeing where you are cutting. So let's see how this all is made possible. Before proceeding further, a quick and brief recap. 3 steps to a genetically modified organism. Step 1 is identification of organism with desirable gene. Step 2, introduction of identified DNA into the host. And third, maintenance of introduced DNA in the host and transfer of DNA to its progeny. Now, since this is a new field we are exploring, it will be helpful if we familiarize ourselves with some terms. These are the terms that we are going to explore in the next few minutes. Some of these terms we'll be exploring in detail later also, but right now we'll just do a brief introduction to all these terms. To understand recombinant DNA, let's revisit recombination. This was a term we studied during the first unit, that is reproduction. So let's see what are the major difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction allows for new combinations. In asexual reproduction, the progenies are exact copies of their single parent, while in sexual reproduction, two parents are involved and the progeny develops new characters due to recombination of genes from both parents. So variations arise during sexual reproduction, and this forms the basis of breeding programs in plant breeding or animal husbandry. We perform hybridizations and we try to get improved varieties with desirable characters. But here is a catch. You may get the combinations you want, you may get one of the desired characters or both of the undesired ones. So how do you ensure that you get both the desired qualities in one individual? By manipulating or changing the genes or the DNA which controls the characters. So we produce new combinations of DNA by extracting DNA with desired characters and combining these two DNA together. Now to conclude, what is recombinant DNA? Let's borrow the definitions from Britannica. Molecules of DNA from two different species that are inserted into a host organism to produce new genetic combinations that are of value to science, medicine, agriculture and industry. Now for this, again, you have to find the gene of interest, find a pair of scissors that can cut the genes at precise location, join the two genes and then reinsert the manipulated gene into a host organism. You have also to make sure that it is accepted, replicated and expressed. So once the recombinant DNA is ready, it has to be made in multiple copies. Why? Because it is our gene of interest. We need it in many copies to make sure that it is not lost as we move ahead with its expression, and also because we need its product in ample quantity. There are several terms that are used instead of gene cloning: DNA cloning, recombinant DNA cloning, molecular cloning. Now, generally the copies are made using techniques of genetic engineering, either inside a host cell where it is transferred using a vector, or in a cell-free system using a unique technique known as PCR. Now, why do we need special technique to make multiple copies of DNA? DNA has the ability to replicate itself, but here is another point to remember. DNA molecules cannot replicate on its own. It needs two things. One, the DNA polymerase, and second, a special sequence known as ORI, or the origin of replication. This is a special DNA sequence that is required for initiation or beginning the replication. Chromosomes have it, so the DNA is able to replicate and form copies of chromosomes before the cell divides. Now, if we introduce a new DNA in a cell, that is a recombinant DNA, there are two options. One, it should have its own ORI, or second, it should integrate into the host chromosome and get replicated with it using the ORI of the host chromosome. Only then cloning is possible, otherwise this recombinant DNA will not survive inside the host organism. One important step to gene cloning is transferring recombinant DNA into the host cell. There are many methods of doing it, but the first recombinant DNA or rDNA was made using a special structure known as plasmid. What are plasmids? These are extra chromosomal DNA in bacteria, that is, they are present separately from the bacterial chromosomes. They are circular and they have the ability to replicate, which means they have their own ORI sequence and related proteins helping them self-replicate. Now, since the size of plasmid is small, they can be used as carriers to transfer desired DNA into the host cell. They can act as vectors. The first instance of use of plasmid as vector was given by Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer. They took the native plasmid of Salmonella typhimurium, isolated an antibiotic resistance gene from another source. Now they cut the plasmid DNA at specific location and inserted the antibiotic resistance gene into it. This new plasmid has recombinant DNA and is now acting as vector, since it can be used to carry the recombinant DNA into another host cell. It will make the new host cell resistant to the antibiotic. Now you can see that this entire process is being done in vitro, that is outside a living system. So here two more issues arise: how to cut the DNA at specific location and what scissors to use, and then how to join it again. Cutting of DNA is possible due to discovery of a special enzyme known as restriction endonuclease. Joining is done by another enzyme known as DNA ligase, about which we have already studied in DNA replication. With this, we've finished the introduction. Very soon we'll explore few more aspects of biotechnology. Till then, these are your questions for practice.